Good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And this week is super fun because it is Mother's Day week. And so hopefully you are taking care of that lady, or you did take care of that lady. And so I wanted to have a special episode of Father's Fire to talk about motherhood and how we as dads can impact and change the environment for the ladies in our house, the ladies of our heart, to allow them to have the greatest impact on our families imaginable. I'm telling you, you can't even imagine when you get the right environment, the right combination, the right couple, working together, it really makes a huge difference. So before I jump into that discussion, I want to remind you that I'm part of the Speak Fire family. Make sure to check out the rest of the crew. And of course, we got to give a mad shout out to Julian Gibson and Boss Talk Nation. Every week, he's laying it down, helping you become a boss in whatever lane you're pursuing. So this week, I'm super excited. I reached out to my boy, Will Fossett, after he actually posted a clip from our last interview. And I'm like, oh, dude, I got to get Will on because he and I can have a great talk about dads and moms. So Welcome, Will. How are you, brother?
I'm good, Jody. I'm good. How about you, man?
I'm awesome. I mean, I really am awesome. It's been a crazy busy week. And it's, this week always kind of sneaks up on me. And it's fun because I was actually born on Mother's Day. And so I've always told my mom I've been a pain in the butt since day one.
Right. Literally.
and she's like, oh, no, you're my greatest little present for Mother's Day. I'm like, no, Mom, trust me. I know the pain I put you through. So I got thinking, and oh, by the way, I got to give a shout out to Will. So for those of you that don't know him, he is the Millenial mentor. He's doing a phenomenal job working with young men, young women, and their parents, trying to create a legacy of young men coming up. So welcome, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah. So, I've been thinking a lot about motherhood this week. I'm sure a lot of dads, it kind of snuck up on them and said, oh, crap, I got to run and get some flowers and get some barbecue and make sure I don't feel like a heel the morning of. In fact, I was joking on my Friday morning meeting with my team because I was reminding them, don't forget your wives. Don't forget your mamas, right? Don't forget the ladies in your life. Because I remember years ago, a guy calls me, a really good friend calls me up at 5 a.m. in the morning. And he goes, Jody, I need your help. And I'm like, dude, it's 5 a.m. He goes, I forgot Mother's Day and there's no way I can sneak out and get a present. Is there any way you can hook me up? So I left the comfort of my warm bed, went out and bought some flowers for my boy and left him on his front porch and saved the day for him.
That's what's up, Jody. Jody to the rescue.
So I've been thinking about that. But more importantly, I've also been thinking about conversations that I've seen by my good friend, Shawnee the Kid on TikTok. I mean, he really talks about men stepping up in their home, men, stepping up for their wives, stepping up in the role of the kids. So my question for you is, how can we as dads how can we as husbands create an environment where our ladies can really thrive and feel valued and find joy in motherhood?
So the answer is simple, right? And so it starts simple. Let me say it that way. It starts simple. Think of it like a rose. This is something my wife said to me. She said, I'm your rose, right? And if I'm your rose, what do when you want to cultivate a rose? You have to feed it, right? You have to nurture it. You have to water it. You have to do all of these things, make sure the temperature is right so it can grow and it can bloom. And everybody that sees that rose is going to say, oh my God, that rose is beautiful. And even though they may not give you the credit for being the person that was the cultivator, you always are going to know that's my rose. So as a husband and as a father, right, our responsibility becomes we always have to make sure that our wives are presented in the best light possible. It doesn't matter if I don't get the shine. If I don't get the credit, okay. But I want every time you see my wife, you see my children, you see my family, that woman looks amazing. They're always put together, right? And we talked about it before, that presentation precedes personality, right? You can have the greatest personality in the world, but if you present it in a way where people don't want anything to do with you, then hey, hands off. But I always want to make sure that my wife looks amazing. She's presented in the best light possible. So as husbands, that's what we do. And you know it, Jody, we take the back seat. Hey, look, I'll make sure we good. I'll make sure the family gets fed. You got gas in your car, bills are paid. I'll take the back seat as long as I know my wife and my family are taken care of. So making sure your rose is a rose, making sure she's beautiful, making sure she's adored, making sure that she knows that she's appreciated. It's those simple things that start the process, right? And if we start there, everything else we can figure out along the way.
I find it interesting that your wife used the analogy of a rose, right? It wasn't your analogy, it was her analogy. And as I was listening to you, I kept thinking about if the lady is the rose, if you don't take care of her, and it's just like my father-in-law was a master gardener. When he was alive, his home was full of roses. He had this beautiful arch that the roses climbed over and then went on the other side of the fence. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. But here's the thing with the rose. If you're not careful, you're going to get stuck.
Yeah.
That thorn is going to stick you.
Yes.
And so as I'm thinking about that, because he really had the gift of shaping the rose. And I'm not saying that our role as a man is to shape the woman. I am not saying that. But he created an environment in his garden where he would trim the wayward, shoots that came up. He would bend the branches so that they would start to grow to the side and up the trellis and stuff. And he just had this gift of creating an environment where his roses could thrive. And so I think that's one of the things that we as husbands need to do. We need to create an environment where our wife feels special. She feels honored. She feels precious. But more importantly, we create an environment where she can blossom, that her natural gifts, whatever they are. I mean, some women are natural nurturers and caretakers. Others, man, they want to be bringing home the bacon. And if you have that kind of wife, what kind of environment are you facilitating that enables her to thrive?
Yeah, I'll give you like a personal experience. So when COVID happened, I was fortunate enough where in my field, I could work from home, right? So my wife, on the other hand, we had to shut down, but she ended up going back to work. So I've literally been at home with my daughter for a year and a half, right? So me and my daughter, we tight now, right? We close. And there's just so many things that go on. And my wife doesn't even know. She is like, okay, well, I'm at work when you guys are doing potty training. I'm at work when you guys are watching Coco Melon. And she's been home for about the past 2 weeks. And she's like, she does all of this stuff? And I didn't know. I said, yeah, you didn't have to. All you had to do was go to work. I got everything else, right? Making sure creating that environment where she felt safe to leave her newborn child at home with dad for this year and a half. Think about the mindset that it takes for a mother, for a woman to leave their child at 6, 7 months old and just say, I got to go back to work.
And trust you to do it.
And trust me to do it, right? So, look, I didn't drop the baby. She's not injured. She's learning everything. Like, as a dad, that's a win, right? Because we all know we are not expected, right, culturally as the nurturers, and we're more of the providers and bravado, right?
Wow.
Exactly, the rah. But there's been those times where I've had to be softer dad. Okay, come here. Let me hold you. Let me pat you on the back. And my wife has seen it. She's like, oh, wow, you guys got this. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to worry about nothing. Just chill. Don't worry about nothing. Imagine if we allowed our wives and the mothers in our lives to just say, hey, don't worry about nothing. I got it. What type of reciprocal energy would that grant you?
Yeah. The thing that, as I'm listening to you, I think the important thing kind of underlying that is that we as dads have to step up and be an active participant, an active lead, and co-parent with our bride, right? I think a lot of times, especially when I'm listening to Sean, so many women on his TikTok channel are complaining because the dad comes home and he's like, I've already worked. I bring home the bacon. Your job is to take care of everything at home. And they come home and they act like their wife is the servant.
Yeah.
Instead of their partner. And so stepping into the house and going, all right, sweetheart, what can I do? I know you've been home all day. I know you've been doing everything you can to keep our house together, to keep our kids from killing each other and you killing them. But what can I do to alleviate some of your pain? What can I do to give you a break?
And that's something that shout out to Coach Keisha, we've discussed before, is learning love languages, right? And so something for me that I had to learn was my wife's love language was acts of service. So I'm thinking, all right, I've been at home with the baby all day. I've been working from home and trying to manage all of that. But what if in that time frame, I was able to straighten up the house a little bit more and wash the dishes and put some stuff away for her and do a load of laundry? That means something to her more than if I went and got her flowers. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm presenting this gift to you. Look, I got you flowers. I love you. She like, you could have did a load of laundry. And to me, I'm thinking like, what do you mean a load of laundry? But that's what she values. So now is me being, not only me being present, but me being a participant in the family dynamic, in the household, in creating the environment for her to feel like her authentic self. Oh, I get to come home from work and now all I have to do, quote unquote, is maybe cook dinner or give the baby a bath. Why? Because my husband did everything else. Hey, I made sure the dishes was washed, laundry is done. Let's figure out dinner. And we can do that as a team. Or, hey, let's tag team and get a baby to bath. Whatever it is, it's creating that partnership and delving into that I believe that our women, our wives, our mothers would love to see.
Yeah. This week I've had a couple of really interesting conversations on Clubhouse. And there seems to be a considerable amount of men that when they were growing up, they did not see their fathers actively participate in the home. Either they were gone, they were divorced, they came home and just didn't do anything. It was kind of that 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s mindset where the mom did everything and the dad he worked and came home, kicked his feet up, and the lady put on his slippers, right? And one guy actually said something that really impacted me. He said, I don't have a good father to model. So how do I become the father I want to be? How do I become the father I wish I had? And I said, I waited for my turn. I said, you know what? You just got to be the father you wish you had. The dad that you dreamed of, be that. Be exactly opposite of the dad that you saw. And think about, what would you have liked as a kid? And if there's nobody in your circle, the bare minimum you can do is go, all right, what would I have liked to have had in a dad?
Yeah.
And if you're fortunate enough to have good men around you, and that's the purpose of Father's Fire, so that we can gather men and have a dialogue and discuss how we can be better fathers. Clubhouse is having phenomenal discussions of men going, all right, how do I be a good dad? How do I break the cycle, the generational cycle of an absent father? And so I guess, it's not, in my view, it's not as difficult as a lot of men think it is, but it requires them to do something they haven't done before.
Yes. And as you're saying that, the first thought that pops in my head is face your fear. What is that thing you're afraid of? You're afraid what? You're going to fail as a father? You're afraid that you can't be as good as the expectation you have in your head? What is it that you feel as though you can't be perfect? None of us are. None of us will be perfect, right? And we've talked about it before on here. That moment, those moments where you're present, being present matters more than anything. If you're present in your child's life and they can actually see that you are an active participant, right? They can actually see that you're an active participant in their life, creating those moments, creating those memories. Guess what? Now you're that. Oh my God, my dad is, my dad was, my dad did. I'll give you my own personal experience. My dad worked literally afternoons and nights my entire childhood. But the one thing I remember, my dad got up and took us to school every day. Meaning he got home probably at 3:00 in the morning. My mom was cooking breakfast and made sure we woke up. He would slug out the bed by 7:00 and drive all 4 of me and my siblings to school every morning, and then come back home and get back in the bed. I like, it's ingrained in my brain. I can't forget things like that. Whether he wanted to or not, he was present, and that is invaluable. So fathers, if you're listening, if you're watching this, you have to be present, and not only for your children, but for your wife. Because now she's going to say, oh man, I know he's tired. I know he's been working, but he did it for us. Now, what can I do for you? It's that reciprocity, right? I'm going to give you what I have, and you're going to do it in return. And now we're going to create this cycle that works and that benefits us as a family. That reciprocity goes a long way.
Well, and it creates a team environment that your kids will want to emulate.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I was having a discussion with my youngest son, and he's watching his other friends, and they're starting to date, and some of them, they don't treat their girlfriend exactly the way they should, and he actually called out his friend on it a little bit, and he's like, look, man, he goes, I watch what my dad does. I mean, every night when mom gets done, they have a little time just to themselves, right? We come down, sit on this couch, and we watch Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's kind of our thing, right? She has some Cherry Garcia Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and I have some too, right? And so creating that environment, that modeling a team, a connected, unified couple, in not only in your heart, but also modeling it in a way that your kids can see. I mean, you think about the questions that we're hearing on TikTok and Clubhouse and direct messages coming. Well, how do I become this? If you as a man right now, if we have an entire generation trying to step up, we're trying to level up, we're trying to become what we didn't see, or we're trying to build on what we received, what kind of conversations are our kids going to have?
Mm-hmm.
That's legacy.
Yeah.
That's impact.
And to give you your flowers, right? It's about to be your birthday. I know we doing this for Mother's Day, but Jody, we talked about it before. Your daughters, right? If they get married and have children, their expectations are going to be just a little bit higher than probably the circle that they're around or the people that they know. Because, well, my dad did, right? My dad showed me. My dad was present. My dad did this with my mom, right? And now it's going to elevate and raise that standard for the men that they date, the men that they choose to marry. Why? Because I can't put up with that. My dad didn't do that for my mom. He was up here. I look, at bare minimum, I need you to meet where my dad was. Now, if you're better than that, cool. We'll all accept that, right? So major props to you, Jody, because raising girls, I know as a new girl dad, I know it's not easy, but as a seasoned girl dad, I give you your props, man.
Well, thank you. Well, it's funny because you mentioned how the little things really have an impact. You know, remembering that your dad drove you to school every day. I purposely changed my work schedule because I used to go into work at 6 a.m. and just, you know, I was grinding for that dollar. I was providing for the family. And one day I'm like, dude, I'm missing the mornings with my kids. I'm missing a significant amount of their life, and I'm just dialing for dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the decision that day. I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to wake my kids up. I'm going to cook them breakfast. And so I actually started making up songs. And so I have a couple songs that I sing to the kids when they wake up. And I started as I walked down the stairs and around. So they kind of get primed. They can kind of hear dad before he opens the door. But it's like, you know, buenos dias, mijos. Time to get up, time to get up. And it was funny because my daughter just came home from college. And so I started coming down. She's like, Dad, I got to make sure I get up. So I got up early and I started singing the song. She goes, wow, I didn't realize how much I missed that song. It really is the little things.
It is. She'll never forget it, right? Because now that becomes one of those moments that when she has children, she'll say, your granddad used to do this, right? And like you say, it's that legacy. What is the legacy that we want to leave for our children, right? Or to even reframe it another way, what's the bare minimums that we want our children to know, that we want our children to learn, and that we want our children to exude? My bare minimums are different than yours, but I always think about the families, the children that don't have anything, right? They don't have the bare minimum of, I at least need to learn how to do this. I need to graduate from high school. I at least need to make it to 21 before I start thinking about a family. Those are like bare minimums that I grew up with, right? Hey, I got to graduate from high school, get past 21, no children, don't go to jail, right? But that's me coming from an urban city setting. These are the things that I dealt with. Where for you and your children, it may be something totally different. But what are the bare minimums that we are instilling in our children and then finding out, can they actually achieve them? Because the thing is, some people cannot live up to the expectations that we have of them, because the expectations that they have of themselves are lower. And it's sad to say that, right? And so that comes from, in my opinion, or that deals with, what are the parents? What am I? What is my wife? What are you? What is your wife? What are the parents teaching our children to aspire towards? Are they aspiring towards being a great father? Are they aspiring towards having a loving marriage? Are they aspiring towards being a unified front for their children and for their family? Or are you just, hey, I'm just having kids to have kids?
Just I love your face on that one. Just having kids to have kids. I'd like to add one of your bare minimums to that. And
Okay.
I think it aligns with a lot of men's struggle with I don't know what to do. Right? I didn't have a good example and I'm not sure what to do. Bare minimum, your kids need to know and feel. I want to emphasize that they need to feel that dad loves them.
Absolutely.
Right. And as importantly, if not more importantly, your wife, the mother of your kids, needs to know and feel that you as a husband, you as the father of her children, truly love and serve and are dedicated to them with every bit of your heart and soul.
So I'll reframe that same thing to you, and I'll say it this way. How do we get men to show? Let me reframe it. How do we get men to show and let their women know that they appreciate them and they can feel it? The women want to feel it, right? How do we show or teach or inspire our fellow brethren to give that feeling to their spouses, to give that feeling, that security to the women in their life? What's your thoughts? How do we inspire that?
So let me ask you a question in response.
Okay.
When you were pursuing the woman of your dreams, what did you do to make her feel like you were the guy that she deserved? The guy that she would want to spend her entire life with? You pursued her. You loved her. You served her. You went out of your way to go see her. You brought her roses. You wrote her love notes. You poured your heart out. You showed that you were a man that not only had a back and a spine and some integrity and some strength and some fortitude, but you showed her that you had a tender heart. And somewhere along the line, a lot of us men stop pursuing the lady of our dreams. And then they wake up and wonder why their wife's not feeling happy, that they're not feeling fulfilled as a mother. They're questioning their relationship. So maybe, men, what you really need to do is you need to recapture some of that desire for pursuit and go in hot pursuit of the lady of your dreams, because she's sitting right next to you waiting for you to show once again that you're that man.
Get back on the hunt.
Get back on the hunt.
Fellas, get back on the hunt. Go get your woman. She's already yours, but go get her. Capture the flag. Go back on the hunt. That's what, if nothing else from today, I want to inspire whoever's watching or listening to this. Go get your woman. Go get her.
Go get her.
Go get her.
And I would encourage you guys, years ago, and it's probably a little late for you now, but you can do it, moving forward. I went and bought a little journal. I mean, it's like, 6 feet, 6 inches, 4x6, one of those little diary notebooks. And every once in a while, I just write my wife a note and just say, hey, I want you to know that you're amazing. Or, hey, I just want to thank you for the extra hours that you put in so that you could trade schedules so that we could go on a vacation as a family. I want to thank you for that. Tonight, after she goes to bed, I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to go, thank you so much for being not only the woman of my dreams, but the mother of my children that I never imagined I would be blessed with. So, men, we need to take some time and go back on the hunt, go back on the pursuit, and let our lady know that she is precious in our heart and in our mind. And when we start to actively do that, not only will she feel that, but your kids will feel that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Our children are sponges. And it's so funny to not only say it, but to see it. My daughter, using myself, my daughter sees me and my wife loving and holding and, just being compassionate. Not to say passionate, but compassionate with each other. So now I'm able to do that. And my daughter sees it. It's normal, right? Oh my God, daddy hugging me, dad holding me because he's holding mommy, right? It's those type of things as opposed to not seeing it. What if I didn't show her what compassion from her father looks like? What if I didn't show her what it looks like to have a man love a woman appropriately, right? I want to set the standard. So that way moving forward, hey, I need you to love me this type of way. I need you to love me appropriately, right? And so as men, hey, I challenge you. Find out the way your woman wants to be loved and love her in that way. And it's a struggle. I'll be honest with you. It's a struggle. It's not going to be easy because we all operate out of the way that we think. But the partnership, the growth, the maturity of being a man comes into how do I now encompass this partnership that I'm in? How do I make her feel secure? Yeah, I'm a big, strong man. I'm good. I'm secure. But how do I make her secure?
I love that. I also love that you use the word compassion, because we often talk about having passion in the marriage. But when you think of the word compassion, the very prefix of it is come. So we need to come together in passion and love and with an attitude of service. And then it creates that environment that our wife truly feels special, that our kids see that not only are we passionate for her, but we also have compassion for who she is. And we appreciate who she is and the gifts that she brings to our home.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up,
okay,
because I mean, dude, you and I can keep going. You and I always are like, all right,
I know.
As I'm wrapping up, what would be something that you would tell? First of all, what would you tell your wife on this Mother's Day to let her know how much you appreciate her? And two, what would you tell your kids?
This is good. So telling my wife, number one, I love you and I adore you. And I appreciate you allowing me to be my authentic self, right? My wife is literally my biggest cheerleader. Even when times where I could have and should have done things differently, my wife has always been my rock. So I love you and I adore you and I appreciate you. And I thank you for being exactly who you are and exactly who I needed in my life. So that's to my wife. And to my children, to my daughter now, I want you to know that I will love you until the day I am no longer here. And with that love will come all the support, all the guidance, all the reassurance that you could ever need. I will always be here for you. So to my wife and to my child and to my future children, if I have any, I love you and your father will always be here for you.
I love that. You know, as a dad of 6 kids, listening to you, I thought about each one of my kids. And I thought about my daughters, and I'm like, all right, how do I, and hopefully I have emulated an example of what a father should be to them. And I haven't been perfect, straight up. My daughters will tell you, I haven't been perfect, right? But I've really tried to emulate the example that I saw in my father. And so I have to give him kudos because he gave me such a a huge foundation of what it means to be a father, a husband, a man. And who I am today is in large part because of him. And one of the things that my dad was insistent on is that we as kids recognize and we give preeminent place in our hearts for our mom. He always said, look, I love you kids to death. I will do everything for you, but your mom comes first. She is my sweetheart, and he lived that way. And he goes, you're gonna get married, you're gonna go off, and I'm still gonna have my sweetheart, and you're gonna go find your own. So
yeah,
mama takes first place. And I love that my dad taught me that. And I've tried to emulate that and tried to teach my boys, look, I need you to be men of integrity. I need you to be men that serve not only your sisters, but the girls that you're pursuing, but especially your mom. So I want to give a special kudos to all of you ladies, every single one of you, my beautiful wife, my mother, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my nieces who are becoming incredible mothers themselves. And, you know, women that have had such a huge impact on my life, the women in our circle.
absolutely.
We've been blessed with amazing ladies in ESA, Vaughn Williams, Sakia.
Coach Keisha, Erica. Shout out to
you
all
can just
the
go
all
through
the
the
ESA
list,
ladies for sure.
right? So we want to wish you a very happy Mother's Day, and hopefully you men, hopefully the discussion has made you look at yourself and go, all right, what can I do a little differently? Or what can I tap into that I'm already doing to really make the lady that is the mother of our kids, the queen of our heart, feel like she truly is the queen of our heart? And with that said, we want to thank you guys for joining us. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And make sure you go give my man Will a follow at Millennial Mentor.
Jody, wait, before we get out of here, I want to do something. So
all right.
I need you to make your note verbal. That note you said you were going to write your wife. Give us a sneak peek. What are you going to tell your wife, man?
I actually did that last year for Father's Day. And it was so for Father's Day, what I did was I actually went out. We happened to be the week before in LA for my son. And I actually gave each one of my kids a video note of how grateful I was to be their dad. And it was very personal. It was personalized for them. Each one was unique for them. And then I gave one to my wife. So, you know, in response to you, man, I tell you, man, my beautiful wife, Judy, I mean, I cannot express how much I love her, how much I love you. She is everything to me, and I want her to know that my whole life is centered around you. Not only because I love being part of your life, but because you've made life so beautiful. And it is never as beautiful when I'm just by myself. And so thank you for sharing your life with me. Thank you for saying yes as I pursued you and chased you down and showed you that I was a man of your dreams for 3 years. And I finally convinced you to say yes. But I'm grateful that you did. And I want you to know that I love you with all of my heart. And to my kids, guys, go give your mama love. Go give her a big love and tell her you love her and thank you, because that lady's heart is all in for you. So, yeah. No, dude, I tell you, man, I cannot express the love I have for my beautiful wife. In fact, I had the great opportunity once to meet a spiritual leader in our church. His name's Elder L. Tom Perry, and he's since passed. And Judy and I had the opportunity to meet him when I was in college. And my wife was really excited to go meet him. And I'll never forget when we got up there, she just fell into his arms. And Elton Perry is a big man like you. And I mean, he just swallowed my wife. And he's just hugging her, man. And he got, all of a sudden, his face changed. And he looked up at me and he looked me in the eye and he said, "Do you treat her like the queen she is?" And that penetrated the heart. And I said, "I try."
Yeah. Yeah.
I try. And he goes, "Well, try and do more." And so I've taken that advice, that counsel, that, challenge very serious ever since that. So men, I challenge you to treat the queen of your heart truly like the queen of your heart. Because sometimes we probably treat her as a second-class citizen when she really needs to be preeminent in our life.
We all can do better.
Yeah.
We all can do better. This was fun, Jody.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, man. I always love the conversation with me. And guys, please go check out Will Fossett. He's a millennial mentor. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He does some phenomenal inspirational messages of encouragement and often ties in superheroes. So especially if you're a superhero fan, he's your guy.
Come check me out for sure.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening. And we will check you same time, same bat channel, just next week. See ya.
All right. Peace.
Peace.